What's up, everybody? This is Corey from the OverLook, and we go over the books you may have overlooked. So, I say that, but this book is pretty popular, to be honest. We are starting Immortal Hulk Book 2. But if you like our particular take on these kind of titles, you can always subscribe for more. A comment goes a long way. It definitely helps me personally. But if you want to also support us in any other way, you could always go to one of our other channels, like the OverLook Media on YouTube, where we put all of our TV reviews and discussion topics. Or you can follow us on Twitch at twitch.com/theoverlookmedia, where we play Marvel's Avengers and maybe some For Honor. Maybe something else if it comes out. I don't know. But until then, I want to say again, thank you guys for all your support and everything you do, and let's get started. For I do not exist. There exist but the thousands of mirrors that reflect me. Vladimir Nabokov, The Eye. His name is Bruce Banner. Years ago, he died. But he couldn't stop screaming. So he got up again. Something inside Bruce was unlocked that day. A dark opposite. A shadow self. Stronger than him. Stronger than anyone. Too strong for death to claim. Bruce can die during the day, but the night is his time. And when it comes, he drags Bruce back. Then he's left with haze, broken memories, and his rage in Bruce's mirror. If Bruce is the scientific self, the voice of rationality, the Hulk represents unreason. He's smarter than Bruce is, but it takes the form of hunches and gut feelings, strange synchronicities, intuitive connections, magical thinking. Within a cheap motel in Minnesota, Bruce sips his freshly made coffee as he stares at the Hulk through the reflective closet mirror. From what Bruce can remember, the mirror has never cracked before. That's new, Bruce thinks as he takes another sip of coffee. The Hulk has been like this for 2 days now. While Bruce has been doing the hard work of survival, stealing clothes, food, a credit card for a motel, he's been raging on the inside of the mirror. Bruce hasn't dared let him out since the fight with Walter Lankowski. Something had infected Walter's Sasquatch form. His attempt to create a controlled Hulk by subjecting himself to gamma radiation. The memories are hazy, but Hulk defeated Sasquatch by draining Walter's gamma energy into himself, into them. And Bruce is starting to suspect something else came with it. Bruce knows he needs to talk to the Hulk. They used to be able to. Diplomatic conferences in Baroque mindscapes, metaphorical wrestling matches. Now, Bruce needs other methods. He closes his eyes and takes a breath before emptying his mind and letting his hand move as it will. Nothing guiding the pen on the paper, but Bruce's unconscious, automatic writing. The magician, John Dee, used it to transcribe the language of angels. The irony doesn't escape Bruce. When he's done, Bruce examines the scribbles on the page. Home? He asks, confused. What does that mean? Meanwhile, in a small beach house on the coast of California, Betty Ross cries to herself as she watches the news. Apparently, authorities are remaining silent on the events that left 4 dead in a Minnesota hospital. But on social media, the rumors just won't go away. The Hulk is back. Betty turns off the screen. It isn't him, she sobs. Just stop it, Betty. Stop doing this to yourself. It isn't him. Your husband isn't back from the dead. If he were back, he'd have let me know. He'd have. It isn't him. It can't be. All the while, Betty is totally unaware that she is being watched. Elsewhere, within an undersea base, a number of individuals are hung upside down, and each of them are connected to a surplus of wires leading all the way to a giant data storage tank. Moreover, their eyes have been modified by ocular circuitry that allows them to monitor whomever they so please. But they're still people. And honestly, one of the monitors is starting to feel like a creep. They're just watching innocent people in Bruce Banner's support network do nothing all day. They were under the impression that Bruce Banner would have at least shown up when Amadeus Cho hulked out and went crazy in New York. But for some reason, he didn't. Bruce should have shown up to a lot of things. He still hasn't even visited Rick Jones's grave. And that's just cold. Or his son Scar. And now they're watching Betty Ross, the daughter of General Ross. And that's like the boss of their boss. Perhaps this job is too much for you, says a man as he enters the data processing room. His name is General 14. And he has found that even monitors need to be monitored. Monitor work takes dedication, you see. Unquestioning dedication. The general peers towards the ceiling and the individuals locked into place. Maybe we should put you to work on something more your speed. We'll have your implant procedures reversed by 0600. Then you can report to sanitation for a mop. Monitor 5 will handle your feed until we install your replacement. He understands the importance of work. The rest of you, the people on those screens, are not innocent bystanders. They are not civilians. They are not friendlies. They have all given aid and comfort to the Hulk. That makes them the enemy. As you were. with General 14 is Dr. Glive. Usually, Dr. Glive doesn't ask too many questions, but he has to ask. What would Ross say if he knew what they were really up to? General 14 continues down the corridor to the location of a number of gamma experiments. He tells Dr. Glive, it's not his business to know. The general's too close to Banner. He always has been, and he understands that now. Better, he focuses completely on the Steve Rogers situation and leaves Hulk operations to a trusted second in command, such as myself. Plus, it gives him plausible deniability. I seem to remember the great American public wasn't too thrilled with how Gamma Base was run back in the day. If they knew about Shadow Base. The general pauses for a moment. More and more, the electorate understands that nothing is off the table when it comes to the security of our nation. When the enemy acts, we react in kind. Thunderbolt Ross taught me that. I fought him, you see, when he was a Hulk. And when I found out the truth, it opened my eyes. Ross turned himself into the same kind of monster he was fighting. But by doing so, he very nearly achieved final victory. He only made one mistake. He thought one monster was enough. Meanwhile, reporter Jackie McGee, who happened to be the only eyewitness to Walter's death, and Walter Lankowski are taken to the Alpha Flight space station so that the Alpha Flight team can give Walter a full medical rundown. For the record, Walter doesn't want any of this. He already checked with his teammate, the superhero known as Shaman, if any of the great beasts of the North were active, if Tanarak might be back. And Walter distinctly remembers Shaman telling him no. That's why Walter wanted to find Bruce. He thought the monster in the mirror was a psychological problem. And maybe it is. Walter still doesn't know. But he would never choose to hurt anyone. Never. Jackie isn't convinced. Walter spent half his life, millions of dollars of his own money, years of study, working to become a hairy Hulk. All of this is because Walter made a choice. Walter sits up on the medical table. I didn't choose to get stabbed, Jackie. Dying on the table was not a voluntary act. The other Alpha Flight member, Puck, attempts to ease the tension in the room. He asks Jackie, since she was the only witness, if she saw any signs of possession before the stabbing. Jackie thinks for a moment. The stabbing, something about that bothers me. It was too random, if that makes sense. There was no argument before we got there. But then, it was like the closer Walter got, the angrier they got. Shaman, the most versed with the mystic arts, explains Walter is not to blame. The thing that stole his body at the point of death and made it into a murder weapon is. However, it wasn't Tanarak, nor any beast of the north. They still slumber. This is something deeper, like a primal shadow, waiting in the darkness underneath all that is. Creation's other face, the face we cannot bear to see, the one below all. Jackie crosses her arms and huffs. Even if she did believe in possessions and forces of darkness, which she isn't saying she does, a jury will never believe it. She can't be the only one who hears how crazy all this sounds. At that moment, Captain Marvel arrives. She tells Jackie she's well aware of the outlook of the situation, but if Jackie will give Alpha Flight the room for a moment, Carol will answer all the reporters' questions when she's finished. Jackie obliges, and once she's out of sight, Captain Marvel places her hands on her hips and returns her gaze towards Walter. Walter, she tells him, I just finished talking to one General 14. He's currently in charge of U.S. Hulk operations. A call to Thaddeus Ross confirmed that. Ex-USAF, like me, he played that card a lot. He's a very charming man, who very charmingly threatened you with lethal injection after extradition and trial, of course. For what it's worth, he was very apologetic. He'd love to make it all go away under other circumstances. She turns to the rest of the team. We have Walter's gamma signature with Alpha Flight satellite coverage. We could locate him if we had to. Or we could find a signature very similar to Walter's, like Bruce Banner's. Essentially, if my team secures Banner for the proper authorities, Walter is exonerated. If I say no, they take him instead. I don't have a choice. It's nighttime, and Bruce Banner is walking alone along an empty trail in Iowa. Night is the Hulk's time. The message feels clearer to Bruce now. In his mind, at least. They're going home. His home. His place of power. The place where he's strongest. Strong enough to beat whatever's inside them. It makes sense. The route is simple enough. Bruce can hitchhike if he keeps to the back roads and small towns. Head west and south across Nebraska and Colorado, then down into... Suddenly, a light blazes in the distance behind him. The shadow it casts distorts and stretches at Bruce's feet. It doesn't take long for him to realize it's not a car. Bruce feels the soft heat on his skin, and Captain Marvel floats there before him, illuminated like a lightning bug. Hello, Bruce, she says flatly. The look on her face does not bode well. Carol, Bruce nods. Always a pleasure. Or is this business? The Avengers have been very good at leaving me alone since I came back. Well, the Hulk helped save the world, Bruce. It earned you a lot of rope. But that was a very different set of Avengers. And if I'm being honest, your ropes run out. More lights appear in the distance. The roaring of a demonic engine echoes down the open road. The headlights are blinding, but Bruce doesn't blink. The car screeches to a halt, and Robbie Reyes, the Ghost Rider, steps out of the car. Then, the Black Panther appears out of thin air. Captain America drops down to the ground, and Iron Man, in his newest Hulkbuster armor, hovers down behind them. Lastly, Thor floats down. With him, one Jennifer Walters. Bruce doesn't respond. Instead, his eyes drift to his cousin. Et tu, Jen? I'm disappointed. Jen stomps forward. Disappointed? You're disappointed. Her face twitches in anger. She grits her teeth. I almost died, Bruce. I was in a coma. And when I woke up, I found out you had yourself killed. You set yourself up to die. Jen's left eye begins to glow. Her body, out of reaction to her rage, is trying to transform her. She does everything she can to keep control. You knew what that would do to me, and you couldn't even do it yourself. You had to force my friend, had to guilt Clint into doing that. One of Hulk's oldest friends, and you knew what that would do to Hulk. Thor places a hand on Jen's shoulder to help her regain control. Bruce just watches. Carol attempts to move the conversation forward, stating they aren't there to hurt Bruce. They can help him. She wants to help him. But right now, she needs Bruce to come with them. Right now? Bruce asks. Are you sure? The sun's gone down. It's night, Carol. It's his time. Carol sighs. Yes, I've spoken to Ms. McGee, Bruce. We've studied the sightings. We know the pattern. Every sighting, it's been the same. Every single one. Night is the Hulk's time. But to set the Hulk free, Bruce Banner has to die. And that's just not going to happen, Bruce. Bruce analyzes the situation. Ultimately, he doesn't have much of a choice. He responds, "But that's my secret, Captain. I'm already dead." Many names hath God given him, names of mystery, secret, and terrible. The Destroyer, for his arm breaketh and grindeth to pieces. Wherefore the fear and dread of him are upon all flesh. And the Avenger, for he is the anger of God. His breath shall burn up all the souls of the wicked. Anna Kingsford, clothed with the sun. In Iowa, families are evacuating from a small city. The news called it a green alert. That means all the residents have gotten the warning that they need to leave now. The evacuation point is out at the elementary school. The people are instructed to drop everything and run. One family doesn't have time to put on proper clothing. They don't even have time to lock the door. The family sprints out the front yard, and just as they reach the sidewalk, a demonic muscle car careens through the air and smashes into their car parked in the driveway before bursting into flames. All around the country, eyes are locked onto the news. For those just joining in, a level 3 superhuman conflict is currently raging at the edge of Georgiaville, Iowa, between the Avengers and what eyewitnesses are saying is the Hulk. Despite some near misses, there have been no casualties as of yet. But obviously, that could change. Currently, Thor and the Hulk are going toe to toe. The Hulk hammers down with a punch and withholds all restraint. The strike hits Thor across the jaw and causes him to lose a tooth. By Odin, the god stutters as he stumbles backwards. But his father can't help him now. Not against this devil. Captain America jumps in, holding his shield up in defense. "Look," the Hulk roars. "It's Captain Hydra. When I rip off your head, will 2 more take its place?" Captain America tells the Jade Giant that the Hydra Captain America wasn't him. But the damage to his pride has already been done. He is shaken. Black Panther, realizing it's his time to step in, jumps on the Hulk's back. Then he releases stored energy point blank at the giant's skull. The Hulk roars out in pain. Iron Man, from within the Hulkbuster, flashes a pair of repulsor blasts. He tells the team that if they aren't able to bring Hulk to his senses, he's got the big gun parked at 10,000 feet. While the Hulk is being blinded by a repulsor bombardment, Captain America turns around to help Thor to his feet. Thor struggles to look up. His eyes are bloodshot. His stance is now staggered. He tells Captain America that the Hulk is stronger than he was before, vastly so. He sees the naked souls of men, smells the lies in their hearts, hidden even from themselves. To Captain America, all this sounds like the ramblings of a madman. Lies don't have a smell. He believes that Thor may have just suffered from a concussion. "Are you sure?" Thor asks. "You live in the mortal world, Steve Rogers. of science and law, of what you can perceive. But I live in a world of legend and symbol, the world of the gods. The captain squints. Thor, are you suggesting? I am suggesting, Captain, that in its rage, its pain, in the shadows of its Armageddon, your mortal world could have something very close to a god. Or a devil, perhaps. The Hulk can hear the two Avengers' conversation, and it makes him chuckle. Devil Hulk, he sneers. Works for me. The Hulk pulls back both of his arms and forces them together, resulting in a thunderous clap. The concussive force does critical amounts of damage to the Hulkbuster. The AI guiding Iron Man's suit attempts to force Tony out of the fight, but it's too late. The Hulk jumps on top of the Hulkbuster armor and rips its arms off. He follows up by hammering on the head of the armor. The force breaks the locking mechanism, making it impossible for the AI to eject Tony. Black Panther jumps on the armor in an attempt to pry the top off. He calls out to the Hulk for help. Banner, enough! Stark will die unless we get him out of there. The man is your friend. My friend. The Hulk picks up one of the Hulkbuster's arms off the ground and strikes Black Panther with it, sending him flying in the opposite direction. Inside what's left of the Hulkbuster's armor, with the AI now unresponsive, Tony activates the manual release. The ejectors on the head of the armor ignite, and it shoots up into the sky. Tony uses the thrusters on his boots to chase after the headpiece and steers towards the upper atmosphere before making the call to the others. He doesn't think they're going to win this one, not without cost. He's unlocking the big guns. He's prepping Code Helios. Captain Marvel objects, saying that they are in a civilian area. The people may already be evacuating, but it's more than that. There are homes, businesses. Captain America stands with Captain Marvel. Alpha Flight is doing a successful job evacuating the area using transport ships. They still have time to stop the Hulk before moving towards such drastic matters. Thor, still shaken, attempts to jump back into the fight, but Captain America won't allow it. They still have Jennifer Walters, and he didn't want it to come to this, but she's up. She-Hulk stomps down. She no longer has control over her Hulk. It is something more dangerous, deadlier than ever before. Each one of her punches hits with enough force to start an earthquake beneath their feet. She screams out that Bruce hurt her. He hurt their friends, hurt them all. So now, the Hulk catches She-Hulk's next punch before it can land. Now you're mad, he says, finishing her statement. And the madder you get, right? Funny how that works. She-Hulk bellows out to silence her cousin before wildly throwing another punch. The Hulk catches this one too. he smiles back. See, I was everything Banner wanted to hide. Everything he pretended he wasn't. You were everything Walters wanted to show the world she was. Only now, that line between us is harder to see, ain't it? What do you think, Hulk? The remark causes She-Hulk to drop her guard. She stumbles backwards, stuttering that she's nothing like her cousin. The Hulk just chuckles. Gotcha, he tells her before punching her hard enough to send her flying clear across the city of Georgeville. Tony Stark watches it all from his satellite orbiting Earth. He got Jen. She's a mile away already. 2. She's going to land hard. He'll kill someone soon, Carol. I swear to God, that's how this ends. Are the civilians out of the blast range yet? Are we? Captain Marvel responds. No life signs in range aside from Banner. But Tony, this isn't. Then it's settled. Cross your fingers. This is a one-shot weapon. We can't use it twice. Tony, don't do this. Carol, we have no choice. Systems green. Firing the Helios laser. Tony shoots the laser, and in less than a second, it penetrates the atmosphere and strikes down on the Hulk standing in the center of Georgeville. The following explosion increases in diameter to the point where it consumes even the outskirts of the city. Carol watches it all from the Alpha Flight transport ship safely transporting the civilians. The innocents can't believe their eyes. Was that a nuke? But the Avengers, they wouldn't just destroy their livelihoods, would they? At Ground Zero, Captain America and Black Panther stand over the skeleton of Bruce Banner. A hologram of Iron Man joins them. Captain America tells the two what they did today. It's not right. He just hopes the Helios laser didn't hurt Bruce too much. Iron Man tells Cap that it almost definitely did. The Helios laser was laced with UV radiation. Effectively, it was a beam of hard sunlight. It was the one thing they had on hand that could hurt this new Devil Hulk persona. Don't call him that, Captain America says flatly. This wasn't the devil, Tony. This was our friend in need. And we killed him. Black Panther tells the captain that it was a temporary measure. Bruce Banner may be dead, but he suspects that without these UV drones currently hovering around them, sun lamps, for want of a better term, the Hulk would soon rise again. Back from death, rested, refreshed, and most likely, the Avengers would not survive a second fight. Ghost Rider and his vehicle are healed, but Thor's fractured skull will need further treatment. They also found Jennifer. She's alive and relatively uninjured. But she won't say what it was the Hulk said to her. Moreover, the Hulk almost killed Iron Man and Black Panther. He overloaded the vibranium in Black Panther's suit. And that's almost an impossibility. Without the Helios weapon, without this sacrifice, they'd be burying their own dead tonight. Captain America grunts. We've got another problem anyway. We beat him. We've got him. Now, what do we do with him? Hours later, the Hulk wakes up, upside down. And, for some reason, he can't breathe. Standing in front of him, a weaselly man. He doesn't introduce himself. And, apparently, he's been monologuing.
In the end, what could they do?
He asks the Hulk.
There were protocols to follow. Even the Avengers can't fight City Hall. So, Rogers handed you to Secretary Ross. And Ross, having delegated command of Hulk operations, passed you straight to us. And we made you nice and comfy in time for the next sunset. Honestly, I didn't think it'd be this easy. I thought we'd have to use up an asset or two, put our agents in play, work up a sweat. But just a little pressure applied to the right people, and, well, here you are, right where we want you. Welcome to Shadow Base, Banner. And I want you to think of what's coming as a little poetic vengeance. See? You've caused a lot of people a lot of pain over the years. And now, it's our turn.
Did he who made the lamb make thee? William Blake, The Tiger. The scalpel was adamantium. The hydraulic arm it was mounted on cost $7 million. There were only 4 in existence. It could bend titanium like paper. Even so, it whined dangerously as the blade bit through the interventricular septum. When the heart was red, they'd extracted it with ease. But that was during the day. Now, it was night. The night was his time. Eventually, the heart lay in 2 pieces, green and lifeless as sliced supermarket cabbage. The scientists studied it carefully. They made measurements, took notes. Then they wheeled it back to join the rest of him. And somewhere along the north corridor, just past the water cooler, before the hamster run, the sundered heart began to beat.
So, what's the science here? Any ideas?
Dr. Clive asks the other shadow-based scientists. He throws his hands up, showing off the Hulk's severed beating heart in the tray before him, as well as the numerous other body parts floating in their separate pressurized storage capsules. Inside one of the capsules, the Hulk's head floats upside down. Somehow, he's wide awake. He lets out an indistinguishable grunt, which garners the doctor's attention.
"Not you, big guy," he snaps. "I mean, look at you, trying to talk with no air in your lungs. No lungs! Science isn't your specialty, is it?"
The Hulk, who still has control over his other body parts, responds by using his left hand to flip off the doctor.
"Charming,"
the doctor sighs before walking over to the Hulk's severed heart to inspect it further. To his surprise, once he holds the severed pieces of the heart close enough, they begin to stretch and bind together on their own. Another one of the lead scientists, Dr. Charlene McGowan, tells Dr. Clive that they need to run more tests before physically interacting with the Hulk's radiated organs.
"This is a test. I'm in the moment, Charlene. Isn't that interesting? The heart's good as new. Dead meat on the table, alive again when it's near him. And it heals, regenerates. I have questions. Do you have questions, Charlene?"
"Why not full regeneration?" Dr. McGowan asks.
"Exactly. A little baby body on a big Hulk head. Or a new Hulk sprouting from every organ. Hulk seeds. Why this and not that?"
"Psionic link, maybe?"
"Nope. Zero psi activity. Plus, he had his hypothalamus destroyed, and he came back from that. That's the key to all of it. Now, does he come back? What's the science? What are the rules? We have to know the rules. Otherwise, how can we break them?"
Elsewhere, on the Alpha Flight space station, Captain Marvel explains to the rest of those in attendance, there are rules to this. Basic norms and standards. Or there are meant to be. The Avengers, at great cost, both to themselves and to the civilian population, captured the Hulk in Iowa, following which they handed Banner, in an inert state resembling death, to the proper government authorities. But where did the Hulk go from there? She doesn't know. Thaddeus Ross denies all knowledge. General 14, the man who requested the mission, cannot be found. Requests for information are misfiled. Washington contacts are fired or reassigned without rhyme or reason. Banner has vanished into a sea of deliberate obfuscation. So, did the U.S. government lose the Hulk or kidnap him? Carol's plan is to have Jackie McGee quote her as an anonymous source. Perhaps, if a news article were to make some traction in the public eye, put the pressure on where it counts, It could make Banner's captors antsy. It might get them to make a mistake. From there, they just need to continue to monitor for Bruce's gamma signature until they find him. Walter, for one, objects. He tells Carol and Jackie that they still don't really know what Bruce is capable of when he's cornered or wounded. And if this horror has taught Walter anything, it's that gamma mutation can never be predicted. Well, you're the expert, Carol tells him. Your leave of absence is over, Walter. You're back on active duty as of now. You want me back with Alpha Flight? Walter asks, bewildered. Hulk drained me of all my gamma energy, Colonel. I'm not Sasquatch anymore. I might never be again. But you're a noted gamma researcher with combat training and some insight into Bruce Banner's mind. I don't need Sasquatch, Walter. I need you. And this isn't Alpha. I'll call a press conference later, Ms. McGee. But since you're here, you can have the exclusive. My remit is to protect the Earth. And in light of these awful rumors about the US losing one of the biggest threats to it, I'm creating a new task force headed by Dr. Lankowski to locate said threat. And the name is Gamma Flight. Later, Dr. Clive is on the phone within his office while Dr. McGowan is scanning a number of the Hulk's organs floating in their individual pods. They're calling it Gamma Flight, Dr. Clive huffs into the phone. Well, no, General. I don't think that's funny. It's the last thing we need. Do we still have leverage on Lankowski? Could we force Danvers to back off? Or overplaying our hand? General, come on! No, I'm not raising my voice to you, sir. I was just... No. I don't want to go back to prison. Yes, I'll proceed as ordered. Thank you, General. Dr. Clive hangs up the phone and lets out a deep sigh before turning to Dr. McGowan. Danvers gave a press conference yesterday morning. She's putting a spotlight on us, and 14's response is to go dark, cut our ties, use the black funding streams, relocate. Seriously? Dr. McGowan gasps. In the middle of everything. It'll take days to... I know, okay? It's not what anyone wants to hear at the end of a long night's work. You go get the first ready for transport to Site B. I'll start prepping the Red Dog. Just as soon as I've finished with the jigsaw puzzle here. As Dr. McGowan exits the room, Dr. Clive turns back to the Hulk. The giant is smiling at him. You think that's funny, the doctor barks, that your superhero buddies want to make life difficult? Difficult for you, my friend. Everything we've done to you here. That was just the start. The giant is still smiling. The doctor hisses back.
What happens now is we ship these pieces of you to our other sites. Study them cell by cell. Cut that smile off you. Slice it down to the bone. Maybe we'll pop one of your eyes, huh? Like a water balloon. Rip out the other. See what grows back.
The giant begins to laugh.
Needles in your tongue, and we're going to we're experimenting on you, you moron. What's wrong with you? What's so funny? We're going to turn you into our weapon. Learn all your secrets. How your heart beats. How your fingers move. All of it. We're going to find out exactly what you can do.
In one of the jars is the Hulk's right hand. He can still control it. Before, he used his left hand to flip off Dr. Clive. It was entertaining enough, and it passed the time. Now, the middle finger and the thumb of his right hand is preparing to snap. And the giant chuckles. And the doctor is changing his tone.
Oh, God,
he mutters as he realizes.
You let us do this. You wanted us to test you. Because if we know what you can do, so do you.
At that moment, the Hulk snaps. Even in such a small task, the Hulk is able to generate enough force to shatter the thick glass containers housing his separate organs. Shards of the translucent knives fly into the air, causing Dr. Clive to run for cover. The Hulk's entrails slither, splat, and spread on the floor. The doctor does what he can to avoid each piece by choosing his steps carefully. But it doesn't matter. The pieces not only begin to form together, but they begin to form around him, suffocating him. The doctor pleads for mercy. He blames others for his wrongdoings. He reaches his hand out as far as he can in a desperate attempt to acquire aid. It doesn't matter. He may have been sorry, but he wasn't sorry enough. Dr. Clive wanted science. He wanted a set of rules from the Hulk. That was a big mistake. Science is the other guy. And when you hurt him, Hulk takes it personal. The Hulk successfully burrows out of the shadow base. When Dr. McGowan returns to Dr. Clive's office, both him and the Hulk are nowhere to be found. Within the Alpha Flight space station, Walter Lankowski is also having a hard time pinpointing the Hulk's location. Now, that might mean the Hulk has gone underground, or he's in a shielded facility. But this is a needle in a haystack here. Last time, they got lucky. They checked Minnesota, checked neighboring states for the Hulk, and their banner was in Iowa. And that took what? A day? Now, They have no starting point. The Hulk could be in New York, New Mexico, California, anywhere. Walter scratches his chin. Looks like this might take a while. Unless we can think of another way to find him. I'm sorry. We? Asks Jackie. Sure, I could use your help. I mean, you've been chasing the Hulk across the country for months now? Sure, but not as whatever this Gamma flight is. What are you right now? A superhero? A secret agent? I'm a reporter. I can't be the story. So be an embedded reporter, Walter reasons. Look, this is a way to get the story, Jackie. I know you've still got questions for him. And I know he hasn't given you the answers, and he won't until we find him. He'd been underground, buried in a mountain in the north of New Mexico, which meant he was almost home. Oddly, they'd done him a favor. He'd have thanked them properly, but time wasn't his friend. The sun was rising. The day was Banner's time. And Banner had his own problems. When he emerged, he felt queasy, infected. There was a terrible certainty in his gut that a long-held line had been crossed. The Hulk had taken a life. For a moment, he thought he heard his father's voice, laughing from everywhere at once. We are our own devil, and we make this world our hell. Oscar Wilde, the Duchess of Padua. 1 month ago, Carl Crusher Creel, the Absorbing Man, had a run-in with yet another superhero. This time, it was Iron Man. Their fight didn't last long. It ended with Crusher unconscious on the ground. Hopefully, he's proud of himself. Soon after, Crusher Creel is turned into the proper authorities. Now, Bruce Banner is having a run-in with a redneck. It ends with him being face down on the ground, bleeding out from the giant hole in his stomach. The redneck points his smoking shotgun down at the dying scientist. You think you can just steal off my washing line, huh? Self-defense. Law's on my side, you damn meth head. Bruce tries as hard as he can to stay awake, but the sun's going down. The Hulk berates Bruce from the back of his mind. Bruce must always remember, this is what happens. This is what happens when Bruce doesn't listen to him. A month ago, Carl Crusher Creel sits within an interrogation room. He's wearing an orange jumpsuit and a power-dampening collar. The guards hit him repeatedly across the jaw, causing him to spit out blood, in the face, giving him a black eye, and another one, an uppercut for good measure. They tell Carl once he answers the question, the beatings will stop. He remains silent. The guards know this much. Absorbing Man was working with Titania. These two lovebirds are as thick as thieves. Everyone knows. They just want to know what part of this was her idea. They tell Carl that she is currently sitting in room 2, saying she had nothing to do with it, selling Carl out so she can walk. She's calling him an idiot. And he is one if he thinks she really cares about him. If he thinks anyone does. Now, a clean-cut man in black glasses and a black suit interviews the redneck that had the run-in with Bruce Banner. Thanks for answering my questions, sir. Sounds like you had a lucky escape. Lucky? The man asks. He smashed everything. Everything I own. Except for this shirt. Well, look on the bright side. He let you live. Thanks again. The man in black tells the redneck. He holds up his hand, and it slowly begins to morph into the shape of a gun. The redneck's jaw drops, and before he knows it, he is shot point blank in the center of his skull. Before the redneck hits the ground, the man in black is already making the call. This is Agent Burbank calling Shadow Base. Gotta say, piggybacking on 911 was smart. I got to the witness well before the cops will. Hulk sighting confirmed, and my sensors show a gamma trail leading in a very particular direction. Tell Red Dog we know where he's going. Home. He's going home. 2 weeks ago, Crusher Creel is speaking to his lawyer, Mr. Krask. Mr. Krask has been speaking to Titania, or, as he refers to her, Ms. McPherson. She sends her love, and she says, if possible, she wants to expedite Crusher's release. No way, Krask, Crusher tells him. She's onto a good thing with Roxxon. She don't need to risk that for me. Tell her I'll manage on my own. I had the diamond score lined up already. Worked it all out myself. Every detail. Then Mary comes through the door with this corporate gig. She likes it better. Money's decent. It's legitimate. Only it ain't mine, you know? I didn't put it together. So we argue. And then I go do my thing, and here I am. Pride. It's a killer. We done for today, Kenny. Before Mr. Krask hangs up the phone, he lets Crusher know that he is also representing Carl Burbank, Bushwhacker. And Mr. Krask just negotiated Bushwhacker's release from prison. And if Crusher wanted to leave, no questions asked, Mr. Krask could perhaps arrange a similar route for him. Now, the Hulk is leaping through the desert. He knows the way from here. This close, there's a pool. Old ghosts calling him back. This wasn't where he was born. The Hulk was already there when Banner killed his father. Hulk was there when his father killed part of him. Maybe he was always there. But this is where the Hulk took a breath, where he made his mark, where he got his name. Los Diablos, test site for the first gamma bomb. His place of power, the place where he's strongest. Home. 11 days ago, Crusher Creel found himself in Shadow Base. It was there he first met General Reginald 14 and the General's head of research, Dr. Jeff Clive. Shadow Base is one of several bases under the General's command. When it comes to the Hulk, Uncle Sam and his friends have deep pockets. And that is why Crusher is here. After all, he is the Absorbing Man, one of the Hulk's greatest enemies. Crusher raises his eyebrow. This must be a joke. The Hulk pulverized him. Literally, he's never won a fight with the guy. However, Crusher has never had the General's help. He may have mellowed, but Crusher hasn't changed. Part of him is still nursing his pride over all those fights. Part of him still wants a rematch. Now, the Hulk has arrived at the bomb site, and he's there for a reason. Langowski killed 4 people in a Minnesota hospital. Something had gotten into him. Then it got into Hulk. It's wearing the face of Banner's father, the face they hate. They need to get it out of them. And for that, they need to be stronger. So they're here, on Hulk's ground, where he can win, where he can smash him. That's the plan. But it's not Hulk's plan, is it? 10 days ago, Dr. Clive brings Crusher Creel a syringe filled with a red liquid. He calls it the Bannerman Gene Enhancement Package, aka the Hulk plugin. Originally developed by S.H.I.E.L.D., improved by AIM, perfected by them. And the them includes Carl. He's doing America a great service after all. Crusher has his apprehensions. He heard the last guy who used the Hulk plugin wound up in a coma. This is where he draws the line. The General understands and commends Crusher for his bravery. But if Crusher says no to this, he says no to all of it. At the end of the day, it's Crusher's choice. He can always go back and rot in his cell if he'd like. Now, as the Hulk strolls past the remnants of the bomb site, he sees a small military check-in station. Off the pale red windows on the building, he sees his father sneering back at him. It's him. He put this in their head. The whole idea. Coming here. Because this is his ground too. His place of power. This isn't where the Hulk gets rid of him. It's where he gets rid of Hulk. "5 days ago, Crusher Creel's skin turned red. Red's a good color, Dr. Clive comments. And besides, it's not permanent. Dr. McGowan holds out a small green mouse and places it in the palm of Crusher's hand. His name is Derek. He's part of another project. However, the thing is, the original Red Hulk had an energy absorption power, and Banner took down the second one using a similar ability. So, given Crusher's God-given talent, so to speak, he should be able to do wonders. Now, the Hulk crushes the small check-in station to pieces. A sliver of glass pings as it hits the ground between his feet. His father is still smiling. Admittedly, it was a nice try for him to try to make the Hulk mad. But the Hulk will not give up control that easily. He'll find another way to get rid of this thing, however he has to. Suddenly, as the Hulk prepares to leave, he hears a noise. Something faint, like a whistle coming from above. 20 minutes ago, Crusher Krill is admiring a picture of his wife. He's wondering how he got himself into this mess, and how maybe it was better to be a man in jail than some red freak. Pride sure is a killer. It is, the general responds. And so is the Hulk. According to security footage, he murdered Jeffrey Clive yesterday morning. Absorbed him, in fact. There's an irony, eh? Yesterday? Crusher gasps. The Hulk was here. Why wasn't I? He was no threat. Until he was. You weren't required. But you are now. Burbank called in. We have a predicted location. Codename Red Dog. Consider yourself off the leash. Now, the Absorbing Man slams down in the desert. He ruptures the ground as he lands. Hulk! He bellows. Come on, you psycho. Back in the ring. Let's make this happen. Make this worth it. The Hulk stands there without saying anything. The Absorbing Man was the last person he expected to see. This must be some kind of trick. Some new plan. Another manipulation from his father. But the Hulk is not going to give in. He's not going to get angry. He's in control. He knows how Crusher sees this. One look, and he can tell. It's a pride thing. But that's not the Hulk. He's in control. He doesn't need this. I don't need this. He roars as he charges in to attack the Absorbing Man. Yeah, you do, Crusher scoffs. Seconds out, round one, Crusher says as he flails his ball and chain at the Jade Giant. The Hulk ducks out of the way of the attack. Cute. What is this? Rocky IV? Let me help with that. If he dies, he dies. The Hulk knocks the Absorbing Man back with a powerful left hook. But it's the Hulk that yells out in pain. The hand that the Hulk hit the Absorbing Man with now glows with a strange red energy. His fingers become bony and gaunt. The Absorbing Man stands to his feet and huffs. Not so easy now, huh? The Hulk knows he's in trouble. He can't even block the Absorbing Man's dumb ball and chain. It's draining him. Like the Hulk drained Lankowski. That can't happen. Not to him. Just look at Crusher. The fucking jerk. He probably sees this like a wrestling match. Like he's the heel turned face. The guy who turned it all around. His big, flashy hero fight. Make the monster weak. Make him beg. This is the proudest moment of the creep's life. If this really is Bruce's father's doing, he wins. He made the Hulk angry. And the madder he gets, the stronger. For a moment, Absorbing Man has the advantage. But the Hulk is able to kick him off. For some reason, Absorbing Man sounds dazed. Like he's gone somewhere. So the Hulk can hurt him. Or he drained too much too fast. Or maybe when Hulk drained Lankowski's gamma, something got into him. And now, Absorbing Man drained his. Somewhere else, Carl, Crusher Creel, is standing in a hellscape, naked and bare. His fear is palpable. What? He asks, guarding his vision from the blinding flames. Who are you? You cannot see what I am, hisses the entity before him through its forked tongue. You're speaking to a mask, Carl Creel. Your body is above us. Your malleable body. Your useful body. But you are here below all. You had many chances to turn back, but you'll always end up here at the end. There's no changing your fate. You're a creature of sin, Carl. The oldest sin. The sin of pride. It's a killer, and it comes before the fall. Green Door. What's that secret you're keeping? Marvin Moore. Lyrics to The Green Door. On the Alpha Flight Space Station, Dr. Walter Lankowski's team has a positive ID on Banner's gamma signature in Los Diablos, New Mexico. Lankowski knows full well that Los Diablos is the test site where Banner became the Hulk. It's strange that he would return there. Perhaps a field trip is in order, the Doctor proposes. Puck, another member of Alpha Flight, volunteers his assistance. However, it takes the Arizona Herald reporter Jackie McGee a little convincing. And they're going to need her to make a decision fast because, for some reason, there are 2 gamma signatures. Somewhere else, Carl, Crusher Creel, is begging, pleading for forgiveness within a blood-red landscape of horror. I'm sorry, he cries. Tears pour down from his eyes. He hides his face in his hands in shame. I'm sorry, he repeats. I'm sorry. In New Mexico, the Hulk has been drained of most of his gamma. His strength has faded. His muscles atrophied. The excess skin on his body now sags and flaps about. Still, he raises his fists to his enemy, the Absorbing Man. But he isn't the Absorbing Man anymore. The body of Crusher Creel is literally a shell of its former self. Crusher's skull and spinal cord writhes about in the open air. His upper torso ripped itself apart and hangs on either side of him. His innards pour out as if his body was physically rejecting itself. But somehow, he still moves. He still speaks. Not too far away, Agent Burbank creates a sniper with his right hand in order to survey the ongoing situation. He makes his call to Shadow Base in order to update General 14 and patch the General into his visual feed so he can see for himself. The agent can't explain what Crusher's body's done to itself. He should be dead. But he's not. He's winning. The Absorbing Man stumbles forward and uses his left hand to grab onto the Hulk's face and begins to siphon out the Hulk's gamma energy. Sorry, he mumbles. Nobody cares, the Hulk roars. His own hand glows green as he now grabs the Absorbing Man and begins siphoning gamma himself. Yeah, that's it, the Hulk tells him. You drain the gamma in me, I take it right back. Stalemate. You ain't taking any more of me, Krill, but I'm taking some of you. Absorbing Man hits the Hulk, but the Jade Giant absorbs the blow before reaching out and grabbing onto Crusher's spinal cord. In one motion, the Hulk rips back and tears his spine and skull out of his body. The empty upper husk of the Absorbing Man stumbles backwards. The Hulk isn't finished. Yeah, he huffs. That hurt? What comes around, Krill? Here's my ball and chain. The Hulk uses the spine and skull as a flail and smashes it against the husk of Absorbing Man, shattering the bones to pieces. Ouch, says Agent Burbank as he continues to watch from a safe distance. Hulk's fighting back, General. Honestly, I don't know how Krill is alive. Got a clear shot if you want me to take it. General 14 tells the agent otherwise. His reasoning being, if Bushwhacker breaks his cover now, he loses all effectiveness. Probably that gun arm of his too. They'll watch, for now, and see what happens next. Dr. Lankowski, Puck, and Jackie McGee use one of the Alpha Flight airships in order to fly to Los Diablos. From what they can tell, the gamma signature on their radar is doing that weird double up thing. They're not sure what that means. Maybe a second Hulk. Puck theorizes that if Walter isn't Sasquatch, maybe someone else is. It's a good thing he came prepared. As the Alpha Flight airship closes in on the Hulk, they see the Jade Giant standing over the body of some potential crimson-skinned villain. Oh, good, Lankowski remarks. He's torn someone in half. The sight causes Puck to jump to his feet to run and get his gun. Meanwhile, Lankowski uses the speaker in order to try to reason with the giant. Hulk, this is Walter speaking. We don't want any trouble here, but we do have weapons locked. So, across the battlefield, Agent Burbank hears everything. Now is his opportunity to strike. He switches to cyanide hollow points. Let's make this hurt, the agent mumbles to himself before shooting out the Hulk's left eye. The Hulk roars out in pain, and Walter just sits there, speechless. That wasn't me, he tries to explain, but it's too late. The Hulk reaches up and grabs the aircraft and smashes it down on the ground. The glass, making the windshield, shatters, and the metal breaks apart on impact. Agent Burbank scoffs as he admires his work. That's one in the eye, for now. Wait, hold up. Where's Creel going? General 14 watches as well, thanks to Agent Burbank's visual aid. I'm not sure, he says. Creel had orders to subdue the Hulk, but given the damage he's taken, well, it's possible he's no longer fully in control of his own actions. The question is, can he return from that state? At the bomb site, Hulk squints through one eye as he watches Absorbing Man run into the distance. The Hulk winces, trying to ignore the pain from his eye. He can barely make it out, but he can tell that Absorbing Man is running in the direction of the bomb site. The Gamma bomb site. Banner's bomb. And then Hulk realizes Absorbing Man is running for the green door. The Hulk roars after him. I know what you want, you son of a... But suddenly, the Hulk is interrupted mid-sentence when Puck arrives and uses his plasma rifle to shoot a hole in the Hulk's abdomen. At the same time, the husk of the Absorbing Man reaches the exact spot the Gamma bomb dropped in the past. So sorry. He groans as he drops to his knees and sinks his hands in the soil beneath him. From his vantage point, Agent Burbank urgently asks for his next orders. This is out of control. He needs orders. Is any of this still part of the plan? The Hulk continues to bleed out. Stop him, he tells Puck. Stop Creel. What's inside him? I know what it wants. Gamma. It got all it can from me. He's after the rest. Puck doesn't believe him. Listen. When the bomb went off, it opened a door. A green door. Only it didn't open all the way. But if Creel absorbs the gamma in the soil here, in the air, if he uses it right here to finish the job, to tear open that door. Jackie jumps out of the aircraft. What? What happened? Tell me. What's going to... It opens. The door is massive. It's blinding. It pulls everything and everyone into the other side. Below. Judd! Lankowski calls out for Puck. I can't see you! Jackie! Where are you? General. Agent Burbank calls out, terrified. General, say something. And Crusher Creel is somewhere in the distance, sobbing, apologizing. Walter? Jackie calls out. Puck? Can you hear me? Where are you? Where? Oh. She exhales, thankfully, when she finds the Hulk. But when he turns around, there's something in his eye that's different. A sadness. An acceptance. We were too late, he tells her calmly. The door opened. Jackie looks out to the wasteland before her. The broken down city at the base of a cliff. And the pillar of green light shooting into the air. Where are we? She asks. The Hulk turns to her and says, Where are we? Isn't it obvious? Where we've always been. Where everybody's always been. Welcome to hell. Hey everybody. First, I wanted to say thank you guys for the support and watching this video. If you watched the full book 2, thanks, that's impressive. We're actually going to be starting book 3 sooner or later, but we want to take a break from the Jade Giant and cover some other stories. We have Titans coming up, the Lazarus Contract, we have Black Panther coming up, and I'm thinking I want to go back to the Superior Spider-Man, book 7, because that's where he gets the symbiote. And I'm pretty sure everybody wants to see Otto with the symbiote. That'll be fun, right? Again, thank you guys for all the support. If you do like this kind of content, like, subscribe, comment if you can. That really does go a long way. If you want to see our opinions on some of the TV shows and movies Marvel and DC put out, we have a second channel, the OverLook Media. That link is in the description, so if you can click on that, subscribe. If you don't ever catch our live streams and you want to know what some of our opinions are, that's where that's going to be. We also stream on the OverLook Media at twitch.com or whatever that is. If you want to see us play Avengers, you're one of the other 5 people that play that game, check it out. I have a lot of fun with it, and I hope you guys will join. So, again, thank you guys for everything. Hope you all have a great rest of the night.